Hello, folks. I'm Detroit Miracle. Yes, and indeed. Right now, I am about to discuss some cool comic book character stuff. The character is none other than Darkseid. Yes, I'm discussing DC comic books ultimate new god, super villain, Darkseid. Yes, I'm here to talk power levels in terms of some of the things I've seen Darkseid do in the comic books, in the cartoons, and on film. Okay, a few years ago or so, in a film, I believe it was a Wonder Woman film, at the beginning of it, they show various earthly kingdoms and new god and old gods combine their forces to take on Darkseid. They had Darkseid as a conquering alien supervillain that had large spacecrafts, and he tried to conquer that way. He didn't do it in the his usual boom tube way. So they reimagined Darkseid as an interstellar conqueror who has large spacecrafts and spaceships. And so a spinoff should have been Darkseid conquering or going off on many other conquering missions. They could have him fight various types of space gods, space titans of races in terms of him trying to conquer in order to obtain something. Because I liked how his ships looked, as far as like having large ships that could travel interstellarly. I thought that was cool enough to do a series about that. It would be cool if Darkseid uses a fleet of ships more and more. What if he crossovers into the Star Trek verse and we see Star Trek and Darkseid, like Darkseid is trying to conquer the Federation. The Federation is trying to defeat Darkseid, and it'll be an epic struggle. In the comic books, Darkseid has enormous powers, but how they reimagined him in film in the live action, they diminished him and took away his primary powers, which is his Omega effect. At the beginning of that film, when Darkseid took on the earthly forces, the old gods, the Atlanteans, and the Amazonians, he didn't have his Omega effect. He didn't have his Omega. He didn't use his Omega beams, so he didn't have them, and that makes no sense because he's always had them. If he has that body and look, he can channel Omega energy through his eyes and hands. Yeah, people didn't know that Darkseid can also channel energy through his hands. They don't think that because he usually shoots energy through his eyes, but his Omega effect means he can use his hands or eyes to shoot things, destroy things, in other words. Yeah. In the comic book, Darkseid's power levels are high because of the Omega effect. But when he came to Earth as a conquering supervillain, he didn't have his Omega powers. He still had his super strength, which was probably Superman level strength or Incredible Hulk level strength, but he lacked his Omega powers. So it didn't make sense it didn't make any sense that they would set up that amazing battle and deny Darkseid his primary weapons. So, you saw Zeus and Ares, they had energy projection powers, but Darkseid appeared to have no energy projection powers at all. Didn't he bring people with him that had energy projection abilities? It seemed like he conquered or he tried to conquer in the old Earth methods back in the old prehistoric days where they had swords and axes and they went in and charged like that. So he did it like that to keep it honorable or something. The Darkseid of the cartoon would instantly activate his Omega beams and send them off in many directions. So he's not fighting as some barbarian dude with an axe. But in the movie, in the live action characterization of Darkseid, he fought much like a prehistoric warrior. He had some axe weapon or something. He appeared to not have any energy projection abilities whatsoever. He didn't have any energy powers whatsoever. They sort of had it like he had Incredible Hulk strength, Incredible Hulk endurance, toughness, and nothing more than that. But Darkseid has a lot more powerful abilities than what they showed on film in the live action. So I'm surprised people don't take out, what do you call them? They don't write like like um their own protest to what happened in terms of what they saw on film. Just say if they see a million film injustices, then they write them down, such as a supervillain being diminished by losing his primary superpowers in the heat of battle, which doesn't make sense. So it's, to me, it's an atrocity when they strip Darkseid of his Omega effect at the beginning of that film that I believe was a Wonder Woman movie. It came out years ago. Yeah, so I'm wondering, why do they keep diminishing supervillains like that by taking away their primary weapons during the heat of battles? They have an act of doing that. Please don't do that with Superman. But that is another story, I know. Yeah, okay, folks. Let me know what you think about this. Indeed.